Guys, I didn't want to give away the upcoming event, main event for Genesis, but you can probably see it across the banner here. So you obviously know what happened. I'm sure a lot of you know what happened anyway, because you watch TNA like I do. So you would know what happened and who's facing whom. I will get to that at some point near the end of this, because we're going to go in card order for this one. JDC and Leon didn't go the way I thought it would go, but like I said before, I said, it might be by hook or by crook for JDC, perhaps. And like I think I'm fine with that. I think I'm pretty fine with that for this moment. Like, not for further down the road. You have to keep these young kids, you know, in a certain space. You can't let them fall down too much, because otherwise people will just like kind of give up on them. You've got to keep them relevant, and you've got to keep them, you know, in the hunt and, you know, kind of doing things and getting wins. And I think this is set up at some point for him to get a win. I know they had a backstage promo, whatever, encounter with JDC and whatnot. I haven't actually seen it, so I might actually have to go and see it. But it really pertains a bit more to where the story's going next. I'm assuming they're going to fight at Genesis, probably. I just don't see Leon or anything joining the system. I don't see it even with anything else. It's just like, it could work if he wasn't focused on trying to become the X Division champion. I think that would be its undoing and lead to him, you know, being kicked out or whatever, something along those lines. So it's a setup for later. But you know, these guys, like you say, every match was going to be good to great, or at least decently okay. But yeah, like all these matches tonight, yep. It just, you know, again, like any time that I say these sorts of things, it's like, yes, like maybe there wasn't a 10-star match or whatever in this, or a 5-star match or whatever, you know, a 7-star match or whatever. But like everything was solid and everything was really good, if not great or really, really good. I do still think that there's some stuff that's here that sort of, I felt like, why, like, we'll get to it in a minute, but why is this or why is that? You know, like with this, I can see why, because it's like, you know, they're trying to give him a bigger win later and giving him more of a storied reason to win, not just, he won and, you know, it didn't mean a whole lot or whatever. You know, he's got to overcome the shenanigans. Here's the interview. I'm not going to play it here. I can't play anything here. People have said that, you know, you should play things on here or whatever. I can't play these things because it's by copyright, so I cannot play these things. Hammerstone was injured. I think that's due. Like I thought before that he appeared on some of the after episodes of Impact, but I think it must have been some pre-taped stuff that they had in the can already. So, or maybe it wasn't. I don't really know. But yeah, it just seemed like that was probably what happened. You know, so Jake something had to go it alone here. It was pretty good, and it seemed like Jake something could have almost won on his own, which, you know, begs the question, if he had Hammerstone, he probably could have won, that's what I thought. But since Hammerstone was injured, I think that they gave the win to the Rascals here, because they already felt like, we're not building up Callahan and PCO very much as a team and whatnot. We're trying to build up other teams. So, you know, that's where they went with that one, even though this is later on in the show, I guess. I'm still talking about it a bit here, but Frankie and Kaz, like again, like I didn't this was pretty expected. I didn't expect that Gresham would tap out, though. That seemed like that was a little bit too much, like just having him lose by pinfall or by hook or by crook or something like that would have, I think, felt I don't know, would have felt better and it would have given more heat, I think, which is like what you're usually going for. Just giving somebody this tap out victory, it's like you're putting them over strong, which, yes, I get that Kazarian needs some wins and whatnot, sort of thing, and even a win against Gresham again still would be a sort of a big win, but it just, I think that's a bit strong, especially considering where Kazarian is. But then again, I guess it's just the position that Gresham's in, the fact that he's probably leaving. So, but yeah, whatever. It is what it is. I think a few matches, I don't know, like a few matches, like outcomes didn't really surprise me, but like a couple did, I guess. Final resolution opens up with Kushida versus Moose. This was really good here with these two, with Kushida focusing on the arm and, you know, Moose fighting through the pain and you know, eventually getting the win here over Kushida. I think they said on commentary like they had a couple of matches in Japan or whatever on the Indies or whatever. And I think they had one match way back, you know, before in TNA. So, yeah, yeah. And I think they also said, like, Kushida challenged for the X Division title at the start of this year, and he's also challenging it for it at the end of the year, which is like full circle type thing, you know. So that was kind of interesting. AJ Francis along Casey Navarro vows to defeat Nick Nemeth in an interview backstage. There's some exclusive, there's more exclusive content that didn't make it to the show, I think. And sometimes I really feel like they should, you know, somehow squish some of this stuff in, so that, you know, it gives more of a air to things. I don't know. It just sometimes feels like some of these things, like some of the payoffs or some of the things that happen or some things that sort of, you know, it feels like, oh, well, why is this? Well, you needed to see this exclusive interview, whatever. And I know a lot more people could see it on Facebook or Twitter or whatever else, but when it's not on the pay-per-view, it's like, yeah, it's a little disconcerting. And like I said, I didn't watch a lot of these exclusives yet. So I haven't really caught up on all that. I never usually do anyway, but yeah, it sort of makes things come out of nowhere. This big dive from PCO on the outside was pretty crazy. But yeah, after the match, the number 23 appeared again. So what's going on with this 23? It's starting to become like, yeah, you started this, now you haven't moved it. You need to start moving it forward. Something more needs to happen for people to be still interested and not just tune out a little bit and lose interest in it. And I know there's only like, whatever it is, like, I think 2 or 3 weeks left in the year, and then maybe 1 week next year or whatever it is. And I think this is what I think, again, my theory, and it was sort of tweeted out by somebody, one of the major like wrestling outlets, that say, hey, it's probably going to be revealed on the 23rd, which is the live TNA episode of Impact, which is what I said before, actually, as well. I thought, it's actually on that date is actually the live Impact, and I was like, oh, you know, probably going to reveal something there. Because again, like, that's the idea of some of these like teasers, is to get, especially when you have a live pay-per-view or a live show, is to get people tuning into these live shows. But just making it clear, even just that, just making it clear that, hey, it's gonna be revealed on the 23rd, whatever. That would be huge, just so that people go, okay, now we're gonna tune in to this. But it's certainly kind of got people thinking that anyway a lot, or it will be put out there by people. It's being put out by me. But again, I don't know 100%. No one knows 100% except for the bookers in TNA. But again, it's one of those things where you've got to kind of try to read between the lines. I saw like an article piece that was there. I can't remember who it was from, that was discussing the key points of why are they doing this? What is this for? Da 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 da. Is it for intrigue? Is it for a debut? Is it for a return? Is it for this? Is it for that? It's all of those things like together, kind of. It's trying to build intrigue. It's trying to build, stakes. It's trying to get people to tune in. It's trying to either debut or return a wrestler to the company, or it's a theme of something in the promos that's been saying it's just a number or whatever, but that can't be true. Here's the exclusive with Trey Miguel. Basically, they have their eyes on the tag team titles, which is what I thought before. Eric Young's backstage talking to Steve Macklin, saying, hey, he's got this. He doesn't, but we'll see that later on. But he had a really good showing. Ace Austin and Trent Seven. This one sort of surprised me in some ways that Ace won this one, but it was a really hard fought fight here between these guys. But again, maybe that's one of those things where it's like, well, here we are at this point where, like, I still don't recall exactly how old Trent Seven is, actually. The dude is 43 years old. So nothing against him or whatever, and I know the Hardys are even older than he is, but you've got to be looking at it like, well, this guy's pretty much near the end of his career. Maybe he has a few years left, and that's probably about it. Maybe he has one more short, like, top-tier run left in him, and that's probably about it. And that's probably what he's banking on. He's probably trying to bank on, getting one last big hurrah sort of thing. That's what a lot of people do. Like, the Hardys are doing that. But yeah, like, it's just that way of things that, these people that are older, that have sort of been around for a while, kind of do this. They kind of put other people over. That's why you see some of this happening. It's like, well, I'm not going to be around much longer. My shelf life is only a few years more, so it's time for me to, be giving to these younger guys who need it more because their shelf life is a lot longer, at least in theory. We're still waiting to hear more about what's happened with Chris Bay. I do hope for the best for him and whatnot in this, because, I kind of just want to hope that we actually get to see him return one day or whatever. I don't know. I don't know how severe the neck injury is. Like, it's supposedly pretty severe. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see, hopefully, and cross our fingers. I hope you guys will go to the GoFundMe and try to help Chris Bay if you can. If you can't, then obviously, do your best to spread the word to other people to say, hey, try to help Chris Bay. Frankie Kazarian has a quick interview, says he's been keeping a close eye on the world title match in the main event. Rosemary and Jordan. There wasn't really a clear winner here. It ended in a no contest, effectively, which didn't really make much sense. They should have just, ended the match somehow. They should have just had Rosemary pin Jordan or whatever at the end. That would have made more sense or worked better, I feel. So I don't know. And I don't know whether we're going to address the elephant in the room with Tessa Blanchard's return. So Tessa Blanchard has returned. I didn't know. I did know, or I did hear about this, but I didn't know whether it would be true. So it's just one of those things where I don't know whether we should dig into it, because it is, in my opinion, old news. And it's just one of those things that, again, the haters are going to hate. So, I don't, I said this before, people are going to say negative things about, the people were saying negative things about when the rumor was, or whatever, was let out that she was coming back to TNA. And then I said, well, they've been saying shit about TNA for 22 freaking years, dude. Like, what's the difference? You know, like, yes, you don't really want to be, like, too associative with that kind of controversy sometimes, because it's like it continues to lead down that, you know, that path of, you know, they're making silly decisions or seemingly making silly decisions that don't benefit them or whatever, this sort of, you know, narrative. I think it is a decision in some ways that could benefit them. I said before that I think like they could have not gone this route and not done this, and just said, hey, Kylan King, you able to compete? No? Okay. If she was, let's get you in here, or let's do something. I would really like to see her back. Everyone wants to see her back and doing stuff and kicking ass. Like, Savannah Evans hasn't gotten a lot of time, and she needs to be a bigger heel in the company right now. So it's like, well, you could have given it to her. You could have given it to, you know, another debuting person. You could have brought in Harley Hudson, who's meant to have signed like last year, and she hasn't even shown up for the whole friggin' year. So like, what's going on there? Like, I don't know. I don't know. It's just like, was this the 100% necessary thing? And is this the best position to put Tessa? I don't know. Like, that's not for me to 100% decide. She still technically was the champion when she left the promotion. They just vacated the title because, like, she wasn't appearing and whatnot. I think, like, that was a bit of a mistake, and she should have at least turned up to lose the belt and whatnot. I think that was unprofessional. Even if you have a pay dispute or whatever it is, and whatnot, I feel like she should have at least, you know, dropped the title to somebody. But whatever. That's probably my only real thing, because I don't know whether these other things that have been said about her are true or rumors or whatever. I don't know, because I haven't met the person. I haven't, you know, got, you know, video or audio evidence of these sorts of things. I've just got people's claims to say, hey, she said this, or she said that, or she did this, or she did that. He said, she said, whatever. All that stuff. If she does, like, this is what I said about Riddle before as well. If she is professional and does the right thing, I have no problem. Same with, like, anyone else. But I just don't think it's smart in some ways for them to go down this path. I don't think that this was worth the time. Is she going to stick around? How long she's sticking around? That sort of thing. Again, you could have reinvested in the female wrestlers that you already do have, or, you know, whatever, something else. Like, she didn't have to do this. Like, I just don't understand, like, why, like, and then you're going to feud her and Jordan? Why? Like, I think it's interesting in some ways, obviously, but again, it's sort of like, well, I don't know. Like, it has caused a lot of chatter, and even, like, as said Eric Bischoff, controversy is cash. It's just one of those, you know, taglines. It's perfect because it fits this situation. You know, that's what they're kind of going for. They're, like, hoping, again, for people to be talking about this. We're talking about this right now, but it has got a lot of people talking. The rumors before got people talking. Now people are talking even more since it's actually happened. Apparently, like, I want to say this before going too far. Apparently, AJ Styles was backstage at this show. I don't know whether that's 100% confirmed. I would like to think that he was backstage at this show, because I would like to see him in TNA one last time. And hey, Slammiversary this year, he could retire and go into the Hall of Fame or whatever. You know, I kind of want to see that, but it's, like, really hard for me to say who he should face, because I was like, man, he should really face Josh Alexander. Like, you know, like, that makes the most sense in some ways to me as a as a mind of like what's going on. That or Moose maybe. But then it's like the same problem. Moose is probably retiring soon, like within the next year or so. So it's like, well, let's just figure somebody else out that can be the face of the company. Here's a interview that Grace did, exclusive. I haven't watched that either, but I'm sure it's interesting. The number one contendership, like we already know, as I said before, who won this, but like, damn, these guys brought the fire in this match. Like, this was real. Like, I felt like this match probably should have been on a bit later, but then again, like, all the matches that are after this are all like weapons matches or that sort of thing, like sort of hardcore or whatever style of matches. So it's hard for a match that's even like this has no rules, but it's not like they brought out a whole lot of weapons or did a whole lot of that sort of stuff. They just did big spots and did big things in this match. It was sort of almost the main event, level of sort of stuff here, because these are all like guys that feel like they should be in the main event. So my question starts becoming like, what are people going to do next? Obviously, we know what Joe Hendry's doing next. I feel like Santana and Alexander are going to feud next, but that leaves Macklin out in the cold in like, what's he going to do? So I do wonder what he's going to do next. Everyone was very happy for Joe Hendry to win this. My one little thing about this win sort of right now is that he has to kind of figure out what's happening with JBL. Because if he doesn't really figure out what's happening with that situation, I feel like the match will be inconclusive. I actually felt like the world title match would be kind of inconclusive and JBL would interfere in some ways. But we'll get to what happened in that match a bit more in a minute or in a bit. But yeah, it's just like, even from the entrances, you heard everyone chanting Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry has an exclusive interview about becoming the number one contender. You can click to support Chris Bay. Nick Nemeth vows to retain the TNA World title, which he does. Don't want to spoil it, but it's obvious because we saw it at the top. Master Slamovich versus Tasha Steelz. These girls brought it as well here. Like the fight, I think they should have fought a little bit more on the outside here and there, because this was meant to be falls count anywhere and things like that. I think when they were getting towards the end, like they were starting to turn things up and starting to fight on the outside, I think that was like the best like part of the match, really, where they were just like fighting on the outside. Like you can't do a lot on the outside sometimes, but these girls actually brought it on the outside. They did some big moves on the outside, and whatnot. So that's what I think, it shouldn't just be like punch, kick, walk, or whatever. You have to have more than that. You have to have, moves and spots and whatnot that, you're going to do. And that's what these girls did towards sort of the middle-ish to the end of this match. And that was the best part of this like fight between these girls here. A bit disappointed for Tasha, because it's like, where's she going to go now? What's she going to do now? Whatever. But, it's good to see like some of this stuff when she gets her opportunities, because she's really a great character and she's got that charisma and she's really, really good. Like, it's just unfortunate that she isn't, featured a whole lot or done a whole lot with. I think she could be a, game changer in the next like year or so or whatever it is, because like now you've got, maybe not, I don't know, depends what they're going to do with Blanchard. because I do feel like they're slotting her back into the knockouts realm more so than slotting her into the world title picture. Maybe I'll be wrong, but for now at least it feels like she's going into that knockouts space for now. So, but yeah. What else we got here? Master Slamovich having an exclusive interview about retaining the title. Final resolution continues with the tables match. Pretty insane tables match. Myers and Edwards went one up, putting Matt Hardy through the table. Then the Hardys evened it out by putting Myers through the table. And finally, it culminated in that insane, huge spot from the top of the entrance ramp. It's not on here, unfortunately. I thought it might be. From Jeff Hardy onto Eddie Edwards through the table for the Hardys to win. Basically a recreation of the spot that they did in their first tables match against the Dudleys. And it was like they did the whole, Jeff, get the tables spot, which was kind of cool actually as well. We've got this twist of fate from Matt Hardy onto Myers going through a table. So yeah, that was also another insane spot. But yeah, the Hardys retain, and I feel like we're going to see now the Hardys versus the Rascals. I don't feel like the Rascals are going to win that, but it's kind of cool to see like them get effectively like a dream match against the Hardys. That's kind of cool. But like it does start to push your thoughts of like, well, where are the Hardys going to go next? Where are the Rascals going to go next? What are they going to do next? Like, same with like AJ here. It's like, well, what's he going to do next? Like, since he lost. This match was pretty darn good, actually. I was especially surprised by AJ busting out a freaking moonsault off of the middle ropes. Bro, what the heck? Like, that was pretty crazy. But yeah, like I was surprised by how well AJ kind of did in this match as well. Because he's often had sort of that I guess over reliance on sort of being a big man and doing big man things. Like you have to be a big man mostly, but you have to do more than just be a big man. You have to be like able to give them more than what they expect in some form or fashion. Like, and everyone expects a lot. That's the problem. Like, again, that is the problem. But again, it's just one of those things. It's like if you bust out a moonsault like that, it's like, holy crap, this 300-pound guy just busted out a moonsault. He didn't hit the moonsault, but like it was a really good moonsault. So it's like you can't fault him for that. He worked hard in this match to get it going. The last little bit of this match, as I sort of was saying, was Joe Hendry coming out for a save after Nemeth won and after Casey Navarro started to attack Nick Nemeth. So they sort of were facing off against each other. I'm a bit annoyed because it's like, in some ways, because it's like, we know Nick Nemeth is hiding a secret. And that secret is whatever JBL told him, So it kind of feels like already you've got to start pigeonholing him to being the heel in this role, like because he knows something, So and it's like this is the second time that these guys have or are going to clash or are going to fight. So this has got to be decisive, one way or the other, in my opinion. Like, and everyone wants Joe Hendry. Like, literally everyone wants Joe Hendry. I know some people really like Nick Nemeth. I think his run has been pretty good, and they've done a lot of good stuff with him. But maybe if he turns heel, I feel like that could be good. But I don't see him like really sticking around with the company. That's the thing. It's like, well, this is a short run really from him, and he's done some really great work, and he's been there, and he could be a loyal soldier. Who knows? We don't know. But again, I just have problem believing that, because it's very hard for somebody that's not signed and we don't know that's fully committed and fully going to stay with the company for a year or 2 years or whatever it is, to say, okay, I'm going to be here for another year or whatever it is. It's like, well, that's great, but like, unless we do know that, it's like, well, you're always got that sort of foot out the door syndrome of being like, yes, they can use you and they can showcase you, like much like Mustafa Ali. They showcased him and he did a great job, but he had his handshake agreement effectively. And there are a few guys that are on the roster that have handshake agreement, but most are like AJ Francis, but most of them aren't in very prominent positions most of the time. Whereas Nick Nemeth is, and I guess like the Hardys were for a fair while. They were on a sort of handshake agreement until they signed a few months ago. But yeah, like, it's just one of those things, and it's like very, very tough when people know you're got that foot out the door. So obviously, once you sort of come to the end of what you're kind of doing, at some point, it's like, well, that's it. Either that, or maybe they will say, okay, we want you to stay on for a couple of months and we want you to put over Steve Macklin. We want you to be heel. We want you to put over Hendry. We want you to put over Macklin. We want you to put over Santana. We want you to put over these other guys, or whoever else is there that they want to put over, in the capacity of saying, well, if you're leaving, well, we've got to have some of our guys built up to the next level. So that they can go on and do their thing and we can promote them, and whatnot. So it is what it is. They've got to keep doing that. Wrestling never ends, as we sort of say. It never ends, but it doesn't. This is the thing. Like, they've got a taping tomorrow. I'm sure people are going to be at that, seeing what's happening. I think it was just about sold out, if not sold out as well. So yeah, like, I think even on commentary they said it was like the 5th or 6th show that was sold out in a row. Dude, like, you sold out like 12 every pay-per-view premium live event this year. Like, that's 12 shows in the year. Like, so that's huge. Like, even if it wasn't in a row, like, you still sold out all those shows throughout the year. So that's crazy. But still, we've got to go into 2025 with positive thoughts, no matter the negatives, no matter the hate, no matter anything, because that hate's always been there and it's probably always going to be there. We probably can't change it, but we can sort of, do our best to make this work, or hope for the best, or try to see where things are going to go and whatnot. Like, I say that this as well, like, they gave Austin Aries a second chance back a few years ago, or even a third chance, I think it was. I can't remember. They gave Loki, who has a, absolutely terrible track record, according to a lot of people, and terrible attitude, according to a lot of people, many chances. They gave Rich Swann another chance after his issues that he had. I don't know whether they're going to give him a third, but we'll wait and see on that too. But again, they gave W. Morrissey a second chance, even though that he never been there, effectively. But that's what I mean. This company has given lots of people second chances. So I don't know. I'm still dwelling on that and still thinking about it and still trying to figure it all out. Is it the right move? Isn't it the right move? I don't know. That division is a little bit depleted at the moment, as I sort of said, but it's like, well, instead of like bringing somebody in that you have to pay more for, it's like, just build some of the wrestlers that you've got. And maybe it's a short-term thing. I don't know. Again, we'll wait and see. And still that 23 I'm still feeling like it's a tag team since it's been associated with Callahan and PCO, and the tag team division kind of needs another team, maybe. I don't know. But that doesn't really fit for me. It doesn't really make much sense in some ways, because it's like, what's that all about? Like, you're just going to bring in another team. So what? People meant to be excited about that, unless it's a really well-known team of some sort or something. It's like, I don't know. But yeah, I'd be more interested in a singles wrestler. Like, if it was a really well-known tag team, yeah, I'd be excited for it. But it's just like there isn't any out there that I know of. Could be an indie team, but yeah, I don't think anyone's too excited for that, like, or whatever, because it's like, it's really, really tough. It's a really tough situation if you're an indie or a somewhat unknown wrestler. It's like your reaction is going to be poor, because it's like, who the fudge are you? Like, a few people will know who you are, or the really smart marks will know who you are or whatever. But beyond that, no one's going to know who you are, and they're going to be sitting there going, who the frick is this? Why am I meant to be excited? Like, type thing. So, but it is one of those things, and that is the show here for now, and we'll have to figure out seeing what's happening for Genesis. We already know the main event, and that'll put some butts in seats, definitely. No matter which way people sort of fall on the fence or whatever, I know that people will be like, well, we really want to see Nemeth and Hendry rematch, and how's that going to play out or whatever, and that sort of thing. So wait and see. But yeah, guys, hope you guys have enjoyed this one. Hope you guys will join me again in another one.